So I've been learning how to use a line level, and it's going okay. So I've heard that going across the shortest spans that you can gives the most accurate results. So this first test, I went from each post and measured between each one. And unfortunately, I start in that corner over there, and I work away this way, and then I have another string going this way, and right here, it actually is 1/3 of an inch off. Now that's 1/3 of an inch over 90 feet of perimeter. And so what I'm going to be doing is, whenever I get this dialed in a bit and get better at doing the line level, I'm going to do that up on the top, and then I can actually know like what the top of the boards will be, and then we can mark them, cut them, put the 2x12s on them and all that, because these are not all at the same height. They go up and down a little bit because I just focused on making them level, but I didn't focus on the right height because it was difficult to measure them. So I'm thinking my main issue might have been that I took that advice from the internet that you should go to the shortest span. So it might be better for me just to do the 28 feet and have one there, pull it super tight, and that way it won't be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It won't be 12 sections, it'll be 4 sections, and so hopefully there'll be less room for error in that. But when you increase the span, then you also decrease the resolution, or how much the little meter will the level will tell you. So I really don't know. So on the end over there, let's start another string on top of this, like a couple inches above, and do it again, and then see if that comes out a little more exact. So I've actually almost fallen in love with these square nails that I got from the floorboards that I'm collecting. I never realized how reusable square nails are. Seems pretty level to me, but it could be hung up on this 4x4 here, so I'll have to keep that in mind. Go down like that, then go far, and then do a tight wind, and then come back up, and now it's coming out same angle. Let's see how off we truly are. Oh, so that's actually pretty nice. Not off by much at all. Okay, so now that fills me with a bit more confidence. Looks like my problem was just going by that advice of going by the shortest spans possible. So this scaffolding, at least that's what I'm going to call it, makes it a lot easier to lean the ladders up against the sides, and even a place to sit whenever I'm working on up here, or even stand on that. So I think that's a good idea. Now it's just a matter of looping a line around all of this and then leveling it up. Those 16-foot 2x12s are pretty heavy, man. But only 4 more to go, so that's not too bad. So I got the line up and I got it leveled, or at least I think I did. I had some, well, I wasn't able to measure to level this front part, so I only did the other 3 pieces. So I leveled the shit out of those, and hopefully the front piece is level. Now with this piece up here, I can put a level on that to make sure. But I also put marks every 2 feet going down from the top, so I knew how tall the wall would be on each post. Like for instance, over here, it'll end up being about 12 feet 3 inches, and then over there it'll end up like 12 feet 8 inches. So 12 foot 3 inches, 12 foot 8 inches, because I'll just go down with the metal siding, and then I'll just have some like either wood or brick just to make up the difference. Something that wouldn't matter so much if water got on it, it wouldn't rust. Now, I went by those measurements to do this string across the middle for the top of the for the loft and for the top of the doors, and that was off like 1/4 of an inch. So the top part might actually be off, and when I look at it, it looks like this part is higher than that. So now that I have that piece up there, well, I'm going to put the other piece on, then hopefully I can get up there and actually measure that and see if I was even right at all. But to be honest, like 1/4 inch might not be that big of a deal, just as long as I make all the surfaces level and I make sure the top's level. So the bottom beam is exactly level, and the top beam was 2 centimeters too high on this side, although even with that, the bubble is still well within the lines of the level. So I just made it more centered than it already was. So I lowered it by 2 centimeters, and now it's perfectly level. The bottom one already was level though, so it makes me worry about my measuring method, because, well, they should be exactly distance, but whatever. Then again, it could just be differences in the boards and whatever, because they're not exactly rectangular. They're kind of warped a little bit. That's just how lumber is these days. Speaking of warped lumber, this one pole is very twisted, more than I realized. Now at the bottom, it's perfectly level, or straight with the other ones, but up here, it twists like that. And I might be able to work around that, or I might want to twist it. I'm not sure. Alright, so I added wires to all of my tools so I can hang them onto the stuff, so that's cool. And I'm trying to keep at least 3 points of contact. So 2 feet, 1 hand, and so I move 1 piece at a time, you know what I mean? Doesn't always be the case, but it's a good way to keep attached to it and not fall off. So these are train springs. They're made for holding up a locomotive. Now these ones are from the 1920s, but I think that I can actually get them around here. Or not. Or not. just brought home this 16-foot 2x12 that I salvaged, and I think that's about as much as I'm going to carry my bike. That was just too much. It started burning up the tire because it started rubbing on it. Well, now if I did make a like a hitch, that might be better, but still there's just so much weight on there. I don't know about that. And I don't know if I can even really use it for what I want it. So I need 5 of these 16-footers, and so I only bought 4 since I have this one. But looking at it now, it's not as good as I remembered it being. The ends are split, the sides have a little bit of rot and termites in them, but they were exterminated, so there aren't termites in it. It's just damage from termites and mold. Or maybe it's just mold, I'm not sure. But then there's sections cut out, and I don't know. There's also some mold on it, and it's just in really bad condition. So even though I brought it home on my bike, I think what we should do is just set it aside and keep it for like a workbench or a shelf or something. Something not structural. And maybe I can cut it so this section is straight and doesn't have all that rotted part on it. And then it might be a nice 2x10. Who knows? So we're almost done with this part. I still have to remove all of the top pieces and cut the poles to the right height. And speaking of cutting the poles to the right height, these poles for the side hinged garage doors, I've already marked them and I'm going to be cutting them so we can put the 4x4 across. And measuring from the bottom of the doorway down will be about 7.5 feet. So I think it's good enough. I was wanting 8 feet, but 7.5 is more than good enough. And I could always dig the ground out and put the bricks down lower if I really want. Right now it's about 8 feet, but with the bricks I estimate it'll probably be about 7.5 feet, and honestly it's probably good enough for a doorway. Well, would you look at that? So with this, when I'm cutting sideways, it's kind of hard to press against it to get a good cut. So that pulls it, and all you have to do is worry about pushing it back and forth, and that keeps a constant weight on it. And then, whenever you don't want to hold it anymore, it hangs itself up. Such an awesome idea. I picked up this chain hoist specifically for this workshop build, and I didn't know when I was going to need it, but I figured I could use it for the trusses, or I could use it for the big boards or whatever. But I think now would be a good time to get it out and use it for straightening these posts, because these posts are angled out a little bit, actually quite a bit. And if I have them like that and I hook the doors to them, then the doors are probably going to favor being open or closed or something like that. If I can get them totally level, then hopefully the doors will stay wherever I put them, so I don't have to block them open to let wind in and stuff like that. Well, look what I made. This little table to hold stuff. So we had a big storm and fall weather just appeared. It's jacket temperature. It's really nice. I am not going to complain, because like last week I was drenched in sweat anytime I tried to do anything, like even climbing the ladder would just like, you get overheated. And now I cut like 3 boards without any problem. So looks like we might have this weather for at least a couple more weeks. That's how the forecast looks. But it's Illinois, so we'll probably have some hot weather after that. So I think we can get the trusses up in that time and at least get a tarp over the top, so this area can be kind of in the shade and a little easier to work on. But right now I think I want to get this this second stage done. I want to get all this scaffolding down, because we'll actually use it. So we'll finish the loft, which a lot of these deck planking will be used for the subflooring, like these pieces right here. They're pressure treated, so I can go ahead and put them up and I don't have to worry about water ruining them. And then these 2x4s we put on the outside every 2 feet to help add something that we can hook the metal siding to. And now the loft, since I have this main beam up there, we can go ahead and start putting all the other pieces to make it kind of, well, turn into a loft. I'm very happy with the progress so far. Although, in this corner, like the 2x4s aren't strong enough. I kind of figured it, but I figured since I had them, I might as well go ahead and make a stand up here, but I can jump up and down, and this can move like that much, and that's way too much. So, what I'm thinking about doing is putting either 2x6s or 2x8s. Put one here, and then one here. And if this corner is still a bit too flimsy, I can put another one up next to it. But I don't think I really need to move these. I can just put the board between them and screw it to this one. Now at the front, this is nice and sturdy, and this is nice and sturdy, but it's a lot longer. This is 4 feet, this is 3 feet, and unfortunately if I put a 2x6 or anything over a 2x4 across here, well, the doors are going to bump into that. So whatever is right here has to be 2x4, only 4 thickness. So what I'm probably going to do is I'll put a beam there, then a beam here, and have a bunch of 2x4s going across it. And that should hopefully allow this to not be so flimsy, to where I can feel the different boards bending under my weight. And plus, whenever I put the hardwood flooring up here, that should probably help a bit too, but having this move will probably drive me crazy with squeaky flooring. At least it's my theory. Yeah, that's just not acceptable. But for 1 week of work, I'm pretty happy with this. It went very well. You know, I'm even contemplating just making the trusses up here instead of down there, because this will be a nice flat work area if I can get it all figured out and get the rest of the boards to put across it. I figure I could have gone with like plywood or whatever, but I already had so many of these and they're not that expensive, so I might get some more and finish it with the same. And you know, might as well use up what I have laying around. And yeah, I do have like a couple pieces of plywood, but that's like chipboard and stuff like that. Oh well. Or OSB, that's what it's called. Origin strand board. And I'm still not sure what I feel about this twisted one. Now down here I added some more braces because this board wasn't as long as I hoped, and so that allows at least a little bit more connection, but I don't know about that. I'll see about getting a wrench and just pulling that straight, but I mean, it's strong like that, hopefully. Oh yeah, that's another problem. It's very wobbly. At least those sections right there where there's just the 2x12s connecting them. Like for instance, if I kind of throw my weight back and forth, the entire thing can kind of move a little bit. I mean, it's not very much, like 1/4 of an inch, but it's a noticeable amount, and I worried about this, so I've decided that if I'm ever going to have this problem, I will probably add some tensioned metal wires. You know, and have like the little thing that you can tighten in the middle. And so that should help keep things a little more stiff, because I imagine wood is a lot like concrete. It's a lot better under pressure than it is under being pulled. So it might be a good idea to have like a little bit of a tension across them, and I don't know, maybe like having this front part here, kind of, you can't just have lines going across it, but you know, I'll kind of work on it. So yeah, I'm very happy with how this turned out, and I'm just worn out because I mean, this was nice weather, but it just allowed me to work faster and wear myself out faster. So excited. Like I can really imagine it now. The big doors. These doors are so big that, you know what, might even be a better idea to also add a smaller door, like right here. Although I will have this walkway so we can have the door back there, but oh well. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thank you very much for watching. See ya!